Thank you, Sam. Still had how to deal with the preschool children, whether you're a teacher or a parent.
The author of Beyond Behaviors joins us live to discuss the common misconceptions surrounding preschoolers and what you do other than put them on timeout.
Police in Illinois are investigating two staffers at a preschool Head Start program after parents reported that young students were allegedly forced to undress and stand in a closet for up to 10 minutes as a form of punishment for acting out in class.
Dr. Mona Delahook is a child psychologist who says the inability of teachers and parents to handle unruly kids has resulted in 250 preschoolers being suspended and expelled every day. She joins us with her new book titled Beyond Behaviors, Using Brain Science and Compassion to Understand and Solve Behavioral Challenges. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. We're talking, you know, about kids age 5 and under.
Yes.
When we talk about preschoolers, what are the 3 common misunderstandings when it comes to, you know, handling kids at that age?
Yes. Well, the first misunderstanding we have is that we think that preschoolers should be able to control their emotions and their behaviors all the time. And they can't. No. They're just learning how to do that. So that is one. Another one is that we don't understand that there are 2 main types of behaviors. One is what we call stress behavior. A stress behavior is involuntary. That's biting, kicking, screaming, tantruming. Those behaviors, the child is not in charge. And then there's another type of behavior which is involuntary, and that would be more like a misbehavior when the child doesn't want to leave the park to go home. And those behaviors are ones where they're testing limits and things like that. But our approaches for both of those behaviors should be very different.
Okay.
I don't think of kids at that age having anxieties, and yet you say that there are 3 common causes of anxiety for children.
Yes. If you think about stress, okay, let's think about using the word stress rather than anxiety. And if you think about behaviors as the tip of the iceberg, underneath the iceberg are all these causes, right? And so typical causes would be in preschool being away from your parent or caregiver for the first time ever. Little humans need time to get used to that. The other thing would be that the requirements at school are so different. You have to sit still for so long or transition from one activity to the next. Those are difficult things. There's more sensory environments that are different. Smells, movements, sounds. We're asking preschoolers to adjust to so much, resulting in stress, which looks like a challenging behavior, but it's a stress behavior.
Oh, interesting. So now that we know that, when you talk to parents and teachers about how to deal with a child when they act out, how to get them to calm down, I think that's every parent, you know, you don't know what to do if they're having a tantrum or they're freaking out. Timeout is something that we've been told to do. Is that the right thing to do?
We have to use something like a timeout only for a purposeful misbehavior.
Okay.
But most of the behaviors we're talking about, including those behaviors that get kids suspended from preschool, which shouldn't happen anyway, are stress behaviors. On a stress behavior, the first thing we need to do is stay calm and connect with the child emotionally, because a stress behavior will get worse when it's punished. This is why if we put a child in a timeout who's having a stress behavior, remember, it's involuntary. They get worse. They feel bad about themselves, but the behaviors escalate. And this is why we have such an epidemic of suspending preschoolers. It's wrong. We need to get the science right.
And obviously isolation would not be the right suggestion.
Isolation is the worst thing, right? Because that disconnects you from the very thing you want most. But little kids cannot ask for help, right? Their behaviors are the things that we have to read.
I hope I don't mind that I bring this up, because I think you've talked about it on the air in the past, but you know, if Levi is in a store and has a tantrum and goes limp, right? He just sort of literally falls. I mean, what is a parent to do in a situation like that?
So at that moment, we realize that Levi isn't in control. Right, and so
and neither am I.
And neither are you, and it's really embarrassing, and it's hard. And so guess what we do? We give ourselves a moment of compassion and say to ourselves, this is hard. And then we get out of the store as quickly as possible.
Get out of the situation.
We get out of the situation with love and compassion, understanding that Levi isn't intentionally trying to make your life hard. He's reached the end of his rope, and he needs rest.
Okay. See, and here's the interesting thing that I think parents and teachers would say, well, when do you get to a point where you do discipline versus, you know what, because that's the struggle. Right. Is this a moment where I discipline that they're truly doing something wrong and they need to be told you can't do it? Or is this just a moment, like you said, they're being a preschooler?
It's the perfect question. And honestly, it's why I wrote my book, because we're not talking about that enough. We discipline when a child is having a purposeful misbehavior. Yeah. But most egregious misbehaviors in preschoolers are non-intentional. They are stress behaviors. We have to get this right, especially for our more vulnerable children, our children in foster programs, and our children who are more prone to stress behaviors are being treated with the most rigid discipline programs. We've got to get it right. We've got to bring brain science and compassion into our understanding for these young people.
Doctor, I'm going to need to speak to you.
A private appointment. A private session is in order.
Again, Dr. Mona Delahooke is the author of the book Beyond Behaviors. For more information, you can go to her website. Thank you so much. Really important stuff.